Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are back for another video. But before we get into today's video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel for the latest news on the Carolina Hurricanes, the New York Rangers, and the rest of the National Hockey League. So we are now 5 games into this series, and the tide is shifting a little bit, and pun intended here with the Hurricane tide reference, but this series is turning into what we kind of expected it to be, just not in the exact format we expected it to go. I expected this series to go at least 6 games, and it looks like this series is about to become that 6 or 7 game series, depending on how things go in Carolina. And what's interesting is, if you told me in the beginning of the series Carolina would be down 3-0, I really wouldn't believe you. I know Carolina struggled, and that was part of the problem I had with them in the first round against the Islanders is, they kind of let the Islanders beat themselves up, and it didn't really seem like the Hurricanes forced their will the way that series might have looked. Considering they won it in 5 games, they were just the better team, but it didn't look like they were a playoff team. It didn't look like they were in playoff Carolina mode, right? And I think we started to see that change in this series, and through the first game of this series, they didn't look good. That first game, they looked a lot like they did in the Islanders series. And then, in games 2 and 3, they lost those games, but it was a much closer game. And despite not even playing well in game 1, they still made it a 1-goal game. And if they hadn't given up 3 goals in that first period, who knows where this series would even be right now. So it's kind of weird to see how the tide has shifted since, now with games 4 and 5 going to the Hurricanes in a back against the wall, nothing to lose scenario. The Hurricanes have found a way to pull off back-to-back victories, not only avoiding the sweep, but now they're actually going to a game 6 in Carolina with a chance to send this back to New York for a game 7. And that is a very real possibility right now with the way that the Hurricanes have kind of turned things around. So there's a lot to discuss here. I'm going to break down the Rangers side of it first, because I think the Ranger fans are going to either not watch this video or they're going to watch the first 5 seconds and say, okay, I don't know if I want to see this. So let's get that out of the way. First of all, tough night for Jacob Trouba. I know he scored a goal, but if you watch the game, he was brutal. He was bad tonight, especially on, I think it was the 3rd or 4th goal. I don't remember which goal it was. He missed the back check behind the net. He turned the puck over. The puck comes out in front. He's still behind the net, and then the guy's wide open in front to score. I don't remember who that was. I think it was the Martinook goal, but I don't know if that was the 3rd or 4th goal. I think it was the 4th goal. Either way, Trouba had a rough night. Let's start there. And the whole defense really had a rough night. There was a couple goals where you're thinking to yourself, that's too wide open. Those 3 goals in the 3rd period, which that was a great job by the NHL TNT crew, because they literally showed it perfectly. Those 3 goals, we always talk about here on the channel, scoring in the house. Carolina scored all 3 of those goals right in front of the net. Point blank shot right in front of the net. Basically no chance for Shesterkin. It would have been an incredible save had he made any of those saves. It's just the defense really wasn't up to snuff, especially in that 3rd period. And what's really interesting is, going into the 3rd period, I thought the Rangers were going to win it because Shesterkin hadn't given up a goal. And I'm like, man, this is one of those games where Shesterkin's just going to find a way. And the Rangers are up 1-0, a depth goal from Trouba. All they need is 1. They need 1 from Panarin or Zibanejad or Trocheck or Lafreniere. All they need is 1 of those guys to get on the board, and the Rangers will win this game. That's not necessarily how things went. And like I said, really since that Trouba goal, I think the Rangers had 8 shots on net the rest of the game. It was something completely absurd. And Carolina played their game. And Rod Brind'Amour, whatever he said to them, it stuck. And I think going into that 3rd period, Brind'Amour said to them, listen, leave no regrets, right? This could potentially be the final 20 minutes of your season. Let's give our best. Let's give our all. Let's change the narrative. Let's prove people wrong that we are not good past the first round. they are becoming one of those teams that is a failed franchise past the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The best win percentage, the most success in the first round, but unable to get to the conference finals or get to the Stanley Cup final. They will be breaking records if they lose this series. So they're going to try and change that narrative still. That is still on the table. Freddie Andersen played very well. He needed to play that type of game. And to kind of eliminate some of the confusion whether Kochetkov is in or not, because I think that creates another distraction for the team. And the fact that we're going to see Freddie come in for Game 6, barring some crazy injury or some freak accident, which I'm never hoping for, but you never know, it's going to be Andersen. And I think that's a good thing. He really solidified himself after Game 5. He played incredible. Now going to the Carolina side. Like I said, really good determination. They've really shut down the Rangers' power play since the beginning of the series. The beginning of the series, it was like, like the Rangers' power play is going to be a problem again. But Carolina, that was part of the closing of the gap in this series was Carolina needed to shut down their power play, and they have. Now, Carolina hasn't been scoring on the power play all that much. The Rangers' shorthanded abilities continue, but they haven't been giving up the power play goals. And if it's even, if it's 0 for 4 for both teams, Carolina's okay with that. They're going to take that any day of the week. But I think we're going to need to see that need to pick up for them. They need to score a little bit on the power play because the Rangers can score in bunches, right? If you let off the gas for 5 or 10 minutes in a game, especially in the middle of the second period, all bets are off. The Rangers could win that game in 5 or 10 minutes, and that's it. And yeah, that's kind of been the situation. I'm really interested to see how this series goes because I think it's easy to just, I remember in the Islanders series against Carolina, they didn't look like they were going to win game 5. And there was a lot out there like, oh boy, is Carolina about to get reverse swept? And then they win the series and everybody, that was easy work and this and that. I think the narrative has switched for Carolina because now the Rangers are thinking, easy sweep, let's move on to Florida. Let's move on to the conference finals and see our next opponent, right? And now all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, they've got 2 here. Now we got to go back to Carolina for Game 6, and now you potentially put yourself in an elimination game for Game 7, and you never know, right? Everything's on the table for Game 7. So it's one of those things where the Rangers got to be really careful here. And Trocheck said something last night that was a little bit concerning. I don't know why he said that, but he said this is a 7-game series and they're playing like it. I understand what he meant, but he didn't say it right. Right? I think that is something that's going to be said here is like he's already treating it like this. He's surrendering that this is a 7-game series. And to be honest with you, it is. But I don't know if he should have came out publicly saying that because now Carolina just has more fuel to say that. Or is that kind of a reverse psychology that, maybe Carolina's going to think, I don't know. It could go either way, right? None of it matters at the end of the day, but it was a weird quote by Trocheck. A lot of people were commenting on it. Another goal from Kuznetsov gets on the board again. Nice to see Marty Necas get on the board. Martinook. You're seeing some guys that you want to see getting on the board. Sebastian Aho with a beautiful shot. Again, not the best shot given up by Shesterkin, but again, you want him to make that save, but on the other side of it, where's the defense for that point-blank shot? I mean, it was a perfect shot by Aho. It's hard to even really complain about that, but it's good to see, if you're a Hurricanes fan, it's good to see Aho getting on the board as well. Svech getting on the board. Like, you're seeing the right guys scoring over the last couple games. That's a very promising thing, and that's kind of what they were maybe lacking a little bit more earlier in the series, and you kind of wish, had these guys been hotter a little bit earlier in the series, who knows, it could even be 3-2 Carolina at this point. So, with that said, I think the Rangers still win the series. My prediction originally was the Rangers winning this in 6 games. So my narrative still stands. If the Rangers win Game 6, I look like a genius. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Game 7. And to be honest with you, with the way this series has shifted with momentum, I would not be surprised if the Hurricanes still won this series. It's one of those things where people forget very quickly, I think it was, 2012, 2013? The Los Angeles Kings were down 3-0 in their series. They were the 8th seed going up against the 1st seed San Jose Sharks. They ended up winning that series and reverse sweeping their way to the Stanley Cup. I'm not going to sit here and say that for Carolina, but it isn't impossible. We have seen it before. Does it happen often? No, but it is possible. So, take it day by day, shift by shift. The next game will be Thursday. We will be live streaming that game on Thursday night. I don't know what the time is. I'm going to assume it's 6:30, 7:30. They've been changing the times on TV for some reason, but either way, we'll be live streaming that game, the whole game, on Thursday night. So I hope to catch you guys there. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think the Hurricanes will find a way to send this to a game seven, and even win the series? Or do you think the Rangers take care of business here in game 6? Or do you think maybe this does drag to a game 7, but the Rangers will ultimately prevail, using that home ice to their advantage for a game 7? I want to know your guys' thoughts down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.